Hey guys, welcome to Peter Parker Movie Reviews, and today we're going to talk about Donnie Darko. So first of all, I want to say thank you so much guys for being so patient. I know it's been a long time. I've had shoots, I've had work, I've had personal things come up, family. So I'm back. So we're going to start doing these at least once a week, and I'm not going to let you down, I promise. So anyway, let's start by the good stuff in this movie. What I like about this film is that the story is told in a way where you can interpret it in different ways. When I saw this film, I saw it not for the first time. I've seen this film before many times, but recently I saw it at the Aero Theater in Santa Monica, and I saw it in 4K, and Richard Kelly was there. And basically he answered a lot of questions that we had, and answered things like, what does it all mean? Why is Frank a bunny? I'll leave the interview down in the description below and you guys can check that out. But basically what I'm trying to say is that he said that he made the story in a way where you can kind of interpret it in different ways. Therefore, it could be good or a bad thing. But in my opinion, I think it's kind of cool because it's nice that it's open-ended and you can interpret it in different ways. I believe I saw the theatrical version of this film and not the director's cut, so I might have missed a couple things that Richard Kelly wanted us to see. The philosophy of time traveling, I believe. The film is not really straightforward. You have to analyze it, interpret it in a way you understand it, because you're not gonna get an answer in the first viewing, which is a good and a bad thing, like I said. This film also came out in 2000 or 2001, I believe, right after 9/11, I think. And Richard Kelly talks about how when he released this film, it was devastating because it was almost ironic that an engine plane falls on Donnie Darko's room. And he just talks about the impact of the movie around the time where we went through a massive terrorist attack. And how people thought that comedy was dead, that movies were never gonna be the same, and people weren't gonna go see movies anymore because of this. The movie just almost flopped because people did not wanna see movies around the time it came out. But more information about that on the link on the bio description below. The good thing I like about this film is not only the actors are outstanding and the direction is great, but it's something new and it's very unusual. It doesn't have a genre, I would say. It's more like it's like a mix of things. It doesn't feel like horror. It doesn't feel like suspense. It's like its own thing. And Richard Kelly talks about how he hates the word genre and how he hates being labeled in a certain genre. And once you're a director that does a movie, you start getting labeled as a genre instead of being a movie like Get Out, where it's comedy and it's horror and it's suspense and it's all these things in one movie. Another thing I like about the film is that Seth Rogen is in this film, and he has this line in the film.
I like your boobs.
It's so funny how you go from that line to becoming this guy. So let's go a little more in depth about the story. The story really is about a kid that has mental issues, psychological mental issues, but somehow there's this alien or super being, godlike, that talks to Donnie. Somehow Donnie has the mental capabilities of having a conversation or talking to this being. And there's a lot of theories about the film, but basically it's about the end of the world and how Donnie has to change things in the timeline to create a version or an alternative reality where he actually dies by the engine plane and restores all those things back into a regular timeline where the world won't end. So basically what I'm saying is that Donnie Darko has to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the world. And if he dies, the world lives. But if he doesn't, then there's gonna be the butterfly effect, which is the chaos theory of everything going wrong and eventually becoming the world's end. There are many theories about it, but that's my personal theory on it. And I think that really fits well with the story, and I actually think it makes a lot of sense if it goes that way. Frank the Bunny is a very cool design for this monster. Richard Kelly talks about how he got inspired by Harvey the Rabbit. I'm not quite sure if that's true or not, or if that was a joke, but that's what he told us at the Aero Theater. So let's talk about the bad. I know how before I talked about how the story is a bit confusing and you can kind of analyze it your own way, but I also feel like if you watch it for the first time, you should understand most of it. And you shouldn't go back and analyze it over and over again to really understand what it all means. I feel like that's a problem in the film that should kind of show in the first viewing what everything really means. Richard Kelly talks about how he wants to make the film 3 hours, which makes total sense because it feels like there's something in there that's missing. Like a lot of things that need to be explained, like the time traveling theory and all that stuff. Also, the pacing is kind of slow. It's really slow in the beginning, and then it picks up a lot towards the end. And like I said again, maybe that explains why he wanted a version that was 3 hours, because it makes more sense. There's one scene where it's like a time lapse in the high school hallways, and it just doesn't fit in. It feels like a music video, and it's kind of like an American Pie moment where I just don't think it really fits in. I understand it's like a summarization of all the characters and who they are and who's gonna be in this story and who's gonna be part of this story, but it just felt like it didn't belong in that part of the movie. It just felt like a music video, which probably comes from what the director has done in the past, maybe, but I didn't necessarily like it. I like the music, and I like how the characters are doing things like one of them is snorting coke, and the other one is kind of flirting, and the other one is kind of checking out this girl. Like, I like that, but it didn't feel like it belonged in the movie. This is a classic, and I love Donnie Darko, but it is not my favorite film of all time. So I'm gonna give this film 4 stars out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate your patience, and if you like the video, please leave a like. It really helps out a lot, and I'll see you in the next one.
Wake up, Donnie.